Welcome, everybody, to the Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBear's Casino. Ronnie Rants alongside Tommy Chrysan. TK joining us from Tremonti's Meat and Seafood in Baton Rouge, right down the street from Parkview Baptist off Airline Highway. I'm at an undisclosed location en route, TK, to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame up in Natchitoches,
All
Louisiana,
right.
going up to do some preparations and meetings and stuff like that for the Hall of Fame induction weekend that's happening the last weekend in June. Folks can go to lasportshall.com to find out more info on that. TK, today on Sports Shorts, let's talk a little bit about LSU baseball. Very disappointing performance last night. LSU fans probably thought LSU would go into Columbia, South Carolina, sweep the Gamecocks, one of the second worst team in the Southeastern Conference, beat Paul Maneri, the former LSU coach. But that was not the case. The Gamecocks instead walked off the Tigers in the bottom of the ninth. LSU had a two-run lead with their closer on the bump, and Cowan, who now this is four appearances. The last four appearances, Tommy's got three losses. So Cowan is fading down the stretch in a big way, and that's not a good thing because LSU only has four pitchers, and now they might only have three. It looks like, and so as good as those three are, and as good as their lineup is, clearly last night proved, even with no errors and 11 hits, you're not going to win them all.
Well, the last couple of outings, he's become one of the coin flippers, the term that you put together for everybody about a month or two ago. And Connor Ware couldn't throw strikes when he was in. Disappointing loss, okay, but it's over with. You got to get the game tonight at 6 and the game tomorrow at 2. I don't think it affects him a whole lot with that one loss, but you had a two-run lead in the eighth. Okay, two-run leads in the eighth. You got to finish that up. We've said that for years and years and years, and everybody knows that. Everybody watching sports shows daily knows it, but it got magnified again last night.
The Look, Fry was outstanding. Everybody did their part, but a couple of things happened in that ball game. A lot of woulda, coulda, shoulda. One, you got a bad start, where I don't understand it. Can't put my finger on it. The guy's 6'4", 6'5", left-handed pitcher, low 90s with a good cutter. He was lights out in September, October, and November. He was lights out in January and early February. But then ever since the season's started, he's not been lights out. And I would say he's not even a coin flipper at this point. He's below 50%. You put him in there three times, he might give you one good one. And not 100% healthy. The back might be a little something going on, but still, it's just can't. You walk three and hit one in an inning plus. It was just awful. Gave up two runs. Jaden Newton gave him a nice appearance. Shores benefited from a great double play, and LSU had themselves in a situation. But they were up 5-3 in the eighth, Tommy, but should have been up more. Got thrown out at third base twice in the same inning. You don't see that but once every few years. Terrible base running mistakes, and they should have had more. They should have been up 6 or 7-3, and that cost them.
Yeah. The little things are the big things, and when you make those base running errors, especially multiple, more times than not, they'll come back and bite you. So it just didn't work. Jay Johnson said, "Hey, they've addressed the mistakes that were made." And he was talking about the base running and all that. And hey, you better be ready to go at 6 o'clock tonight. Now, Ionson's going to throw tonight, Anderson tomorrow. So you would think you're in a good spot, but you got to get the hits, which they had 11 hits last night. So play a complete baseball game. Don't make the mistakes and the blunders, and find a way to win tonight. Turn the page, win tomorrow.
So Kate Anderson is going to go tonight. The number one
Uh,
thing I want to see.
he's going tomorrow.
Anderson's going tomorrow, and can you check that? Because I'm pretty
That's
sure
what they said the other day. They said he was going Saturday. Now they may have changed that. I will try to check it while you're
Post
talking.
game notes. He said Anderson today, Einstein
All right, I'm gonna check it while you're
tomorrow.
talking.
Anderson goes today. The bottom line is that I want to see, is he healthy? Because he left the game last week with cramps in his wrist or forearm area. They said, oh, it's just cramps because
Yeah,
just
you're
granted, you
correct.
can heal if it's
And
more than cramps. Not going to.
yeah, Anderson's going to go tonight. You're correct.
Okay. So
My
the bottom
error.
line is that
Arrow and TK.
yeah. So Jay Johnson's not going to admit anything when it comes to health with any of his players. He's not going to be transparent at all. In fact, it's bizarre to me how non-transparent he is. But the reality is that what I want to see Kane Anderson be healthy. I mean, he came out of the ball game last week. He took himself out of the game with cramps in his wrist, and that's a big deal because you don't normally see that. And I want to see what he's like this week.
Yeah, I agree with you. So we'll see what he does tonight. He's got to get the team back on the winning track, and he's a good guy to have in that spot.
So Anderson today, Einstein tomorrow. I mean, look, one of them's going to have to, pitch a damn near a complete game. You just don't have enough pitching for both of them to only go 4 or 5 and try to win both these two games. You're going to have one of them give you, 7, 8, 9 innings, uh, and that way you can, you know, uh, figure out a way to piecemeal that the other game that you didn't. Um, but the good news is that I
Well,
was not impressed with South Carolina. I was not impressed with their lineup.
no.
I was just shocked that LSU lost that game. That's not a good hitting team. That's not a very good lineup, and yet somehow they found a way to win, which credit them. But LSU's, if they take care of business and they find a way to win these next two games, then I don't think Hoover matters at all. They have locked themselves in for a top 8 national seed. They'll be at 19-11. That'll be more than enough to be a firm lock to be a top 8 national seed, no matter what they do in Hoover.
I agree with you 100%. You want Anderson to throw a complete game tonight to go 7-8. He's got 2 o'clock game tomorrow. So if you can rest a couple of arms, or however it may be, or however many pitching changes you got to make, that would be the plan if you could wave the magic wand. But you never know, man. That's why you line up and play.
How about Michael Braswell? You talk about love to play his former team. He goes 3 for 3 last night. He tore him up last at Hoover when they beat South Carolina a couple times.
Yeah, I think he's 7 for 11 against Carolina while wearing an LSU uniform. That's pretty good. Ronnie's picture has froze up on us a little
Incredible.
bit.
But yeah, I mean the Tigers had 11 hits last night, Tommy. 11 hits, no errors, and yet lost the game. You're not going to see that very often. Some other news: Texas, the Longhorns, in their first year in the SEC, they locked up the championship. They won last night over Oklahoma. They were tied up going to the ninth. They scored 3 runs in the top of the ninth to win 7-4. 21 wins now in league play, and they are the outright SEC champs. Pretty impressive for Jim Schlossnagle in year one. Now we know why he left Texas A&M. He goes to Texas, 21 wins, SEC champs. Meanwhile, the Aggies lose again last night. They are now 10 wins on the season, and at the moment on the outside looking into the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, that's he knew what was going on. I think he knew a little more than he may have spoke about. But so no, tip of the hat to Texas. They got it done. Now we'll see what they do in the postseason.
By the way, Nolan Kane, former LSU assistant coach, player, of course, a big part of the staff over there at Texas. So, as much as I hate to pull for the Longhorns, and I don't, there's a part of me that when they do win, it makes it feel a little bit better knowing that Nolan and Kristen, his wife, who was a great softball player at LSU, are doing well. Um, there's a couple of jobs that the Mississippi State job's been bannered about lately. It's going to be probably the premier job in college baseball open this offseason. A couple of names are being thrown around. Mingione, head coach at Kentucky, who was a former assistant at Mississippi State under John Cohen, former Mississippi State player and coach who's the AD now at Auburn. Mingione's done done a really good job over at Kentucky. At the moment, Kentucky is in postseason play and will be in a regional. And you know, the head coach for Georgia, the former LSU pitching coach on the national championship team, uh, who's doing great things at Georgia, is a name that's being thrown about. Would he come to Georgia? Would you leave the Bulldogs? I think that Mingione is the absolute slam dunk for the Mississippi State job, and actually would be shocked and amazed if he doesn't get it or take it.
I agree with you, and I've been impressed with him as I've gotten to see him and see interviews in Hoover last year. And I remember talking to David DeLucci, off the air, and him telling me how impressive that guy was. Number one, as a person. Number two, a damn good baseball coach.
The and if that does happen, the carousel will begin. Now, if Mingione leaves Kentucky, I don't know if they necessarily dip into the waters of Lane Burroughs at Louisiana Tech, which is doing nice things up there, or what. But we shall see. By the way, speaking of local college baseball, Tommy, Southeastern Lions are hosting the Southland Conference Tournament in Hammond, one of two sites for the Southland Conference Tournament. They do a unique pod system, two four-team fields, separate locations. The number one and number two seeds host, and then the winners of those two pods play a 2 out of 3 next week. Southeastern, the number one seed, gets beat at home against the UNO Privateers. The UNO Privateers knock off Southeastern last night, handled them pretty well, and so UNO Southeastern immediately headed to the losers bracket, playing this afternoon against McNeese in an elimination game. That'd be quite the upset because the Lions have had a fantastic year under second year coach Barbier, and but they've got to fight for their life at home. While the UNO Privateers, under first year head coach Dax Norris, storyline there, Blake Dean left the program second week of January. The former Tiger and longtime head coach at UNO stepped down in January. The school's going through all sorts of financial problems, laid off a number of people in the athletic department, and yet UNO pulls off a shocker in the Southland Conference Tournament. We'll see if they can finish the rest of the way, but that's a fun tournament to keep an eye on.
Yeah, it really is. There was a big crowd in Hammond, and UNO, you got to tip your hat. You just said the storyline. They get it done. The 8 seed knocks off the 1 seed. And now the Lions got to find a way to beat a very good McNeese team today, and then proceed through their pod in the Southland Conference.
TK, what else we got going on?
The PGA Championship, Quail Hollow, a lot of controversy. There was a ton of rain leading up to yesterday, and they didn't let them do lift clean in place, and a lot of players were severely affected by that. Scotty Scheffler, who doesn't say much, was very vocal about it. But round two's underway, and McIlroy didn't do well, but DeChambeau and Scheffler, I think they'll be in the hunt. A lot of no names at the top of the leaderboard yesterday. Also, the Saints schedule got released. No primetime games for the first time since the year 2000. 25 years. Now, they do have that flex thing. They could end up with a game at the end of the year, but don't expect that. Saints, Cleveland, and Tennessee, the only 3 teams without a primetime game. If you're a Pelicans fan and a Saints fan in the city of New Orleans or wherever you're a fan, it's going to be a couple of long seasons ahead, football and basketball. But no primetime games for the Saints. Do open for the first time in a long time with 2 in a row at home. Maybe that helps. I don't know. But the Saints and the Pelicans, it's just question mark as we go forward.
Did you see the Saints schedule release video that they put out on social media?
No, I didn't. No.
It was awful. Everybody tries to be funny and everybody tries to be clever with their social media release videos of their schedule, and some hit and some flop. The Saints absolutely flopped. You need to go check it out. The one that hit was the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills did one where they said, they told their marketing guy, hey, why don't you just use AI? Well, they called Jared Allen, the quarterback of the Bills. They called him shooting baskets at his house in his driveway. They said, hey, we want to use you for, this schedule release video. And he goes, oh, just use AI. And the guy goes, oh, okay. And then so he goes to the computer and you see him, typing in, AI. And next thing you know, they got Allen Iverson in the video. And Allen Iverson's on the phone going, yeah, I don't mind doing the Buffalo Bills video schedule release for you. I mean, I don't understand why, but sure. So they got AI, the original AI, Allen Iverson.
Oh, my.
That was pretty good. But Saints
well,
absolutely. like their choices in the draft absolutely flopped on their
Well,
schedule.
the only little bitty silver lining, the Saints have one of the easiest schedules in the NFL. It's ranked 30th, 31st out of the 32 teams. So maybe an over and under in Vegas, 4.5 on the wins. I mean, we'll talk about this tomorrow on Sports Shorts Radio, but man, it's just going to be a lot of question marks on pro sports in New Orleans.
Yeah, definitely on paper, the Saints have an easy schedule, and 5 of the first 8 games are at home. So an opportunity to maybe get off to a little bit better start than they thought they would.
They're underdogs in the first 9 games as of right now. Underdogs in the first 9 games. And you got to figure they don't know who the quarterback's going to be. I saw a rumbling this morning, Ronnie, your partner. The Giants get rid of Jameis Winston. They're talking about maybe bringing him back to New Orleans, which I don't have a problem with that. I know you and him are TikTok stars.
I mean, yeah, Winston. You got Russell Wilson, who's over there with the Giants as well. One of those two most likely doesn't make it on the roster. You would assume. You wouldn't think you would both of those quarterbacks to go along with rookie QB. So um, sorry if they play well in camp and they're healthy, maybe there's some trade bait there with one of those veterans. Or if not, they just flat out release them. Then Jameis would probably embrace the opportunity to come back here and mentor, some young quarterbacks, plus give himself a chance to possibly get on the field. So, yeah, that could be an interesting. Even though it's a different head coach, the organization appreciates Jameis and respects him, especially in the locker room and the type of guy he is. All right, TK, tell us about Tremonti's and also the show tomorrow.
All right, well, lunch special today: 3 pounds of crawfish, corn, potatoes, $14.99. You can't beat that here at Tremonti's. Everything you need for the weekend, from the wine, the bourbon, the meat, the seafood, boiled crawfish, live crawfish. It's all here at Tremonti's. And tomorrow morning we'll be at the Walk-Ons in Brewley for Sports Shorts Radio, airing on ESPN, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles. That's right, Baton Rouge, Lafayette, Lake Charles, ESPN Radio on the apps, all that stuff. You know how to do it. So check us out. Hunter McCann, myself, Joel Davis, Ronnie Rance, we have Patrick Scallon from riveroflifecapsules.com. That's all tomorrow morning. All right, now don't forget, as we always say, like and share this show. That helps everybody. On behalf of Ronnie Rance, I'm Tommy Christ. Have a great day, everyone.